You ever lose your train of thought?
Yeah.
On this podcast. What?
Like, have you ever just been, you're talking to somebody, you're telling them a story, you get too deep in the story, and then you have to be the guy that's like, hey, remind me, why was I telling you this story?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What was the genesis? And then you have to like, hey, so you tell me, what were you talking about before I started talking for such a long time
Yeah.
that I forgot my point?
Yep.
And then you bounce back. No, not that. What was the other thing you said?
No, you said it.
after that.
And,
no.
and you're just kind of like, you're sitting there and you're like, per second, you're getting more embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
Is that more awkward, or is forgetting someone's name when you're your first conversation with them?
The name thing, I have no awkwardness, no shame. I have zero remorse. I have zero feelings towards your name. I have pal, buddy, bro, dude, guy, friend.
Dang.
This is really impressive.
Hombre. Come on. I'm fine. A name, but I can't find the thought that I had why I jumped into the deep end on this story that I'm so many details in. I can't remember the genesis of the diving board.
Yes.
What's worse, if it's like a conversation that you're having, or if it's a preaching moment?
No. It doesn't happen preaching. I got to be honest.
No. This happened.
It's happened.
A couple weeks ago.
Okay, guys, let me just say that again.
Just once or twice.
It doesn't happen. Okay, rarely happens when I'm communicating truth that's outside of my head. It happens socially.
Yes.
It happens when I'm like, okay, gotta stop now. And then the harder you try, the worse it gets. You're you're like focusing. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna find it, but it's not there.
I always say that I don't tell long story short. I tell short story long, because I end up losing my train of thought, and I'm like, what? I've been talking about 5 minutes for something I don't even remember why I'm saying this.
This is tough for people that deal with this. I don't know what you want to call it, symptom, issue.
Oh, I know.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I sympathize. There's nothing worse than that moment. There's nothing better than when you remember it.
Sorry, what were we talking about?
When you trigger, stop it. When somebody says something, you go, oh, I got it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. This is why. But there's nothing worse than when you're by yourself and you have that moment. You're
True.
Thank God for the voice memo on the phone.
Yes.
Because I've had to a couple times go, okay, hey, Ted.
Yep.
I got it.
Are you using Siri with it? Or got it, the text one? You
just the voice memo. And you're just like, okay, so I remember you said toilet paper. That made me think of my prom senior year.
Oh.
We toilet papered somebody's house.
True story.
I don't know. I'm just making stuff up here. But there's nothing worse. And that's my first point today, friends. If you're going to be a leader, you got to have a good memory.
All right, hey, we just want to take a quick second to talk about one of our sponsors, Overflow.co. Overflow has transformed the way that people can give, not just with cash, but now with crypto, with stock, all sorts of innovative and creative ways to give, and it's seamless. Before, if you wanted to give with stock, you'd have to go and liquidate it. You'd have to go to your brokerage. This makes it a 5-minute process. You can do it right there, right then. And if you want to get set up, it's so simple. They have the best, just by the way, they have the best team to work with, the greatest group of people to support, or if you have any questions, they're readily available for you. Go to overflow.co/LLI to set up a demo for you and your organization today. That's overflow.co/LLI to set up a demo today.
Welcome to another episode of LLI. What does that stand for? That's Leadership Lean In. And we're not asking you to lean back and do the rockaway. We're asking you to lean in to the subject of leadership just to get a little, in Spanish, pequeña, just a little bit better than you were before you listened to this pod. We got a little bit of a live studio audience here today.
We do.
Some of our college students here today hanging out. But they're in college, so we will not put them on camera. Like what? But we're very excited. Speaking of live audience, get to Zoe Conference.
Yep.
Yes.
Little plug, little segue here. Just going to use it. Little
Use
trampoline for promotional purposes.
Love it.
Zoe Conference, February 1st to the 3rd. Here in Los Angeles, California, we will be doing a live leadership lean-in.
We are indeed.
By the way, I was showing Julia 2 nights ago. This girl Forget what Call Her Daddy. What is the girl's name that leads Call Her Daddy podcast?
I don't know.
Maddie knows.
What's called? Alex Cooper. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Alex Cooper. It had, I saw this. Maybe I think it was our first night, and it's like the crowds are just humongous.
Buzzing, yeah.
And she's got this live guest that comes out, and I was just amazed. She's in sweats and Uggs, and I was like, Julia, look at this following. It's
That's really cool.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a little nation.
A small nation.
A tribe.
A tribe called Quest? No, a tribe called LLI.
Leaners.
We are a small nation, but as you guys have
A province.
you guys have gotten to know by now, we might be an island that you could purchase on the Bahamas, but nevertheless, we're an island. But thank you to everybody. This is episode 136 episodes of Leadership Lean In. And we're going to jump into part 2.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We got a part 2 today. We started last week with 25 things I've learned in 25 years of leadership,
Yep.
of leading teams. And we're going to finish the list. We got through 14.
Yep.
We did.
And now we are going to pick up on number 15. So here it is, number 15. Your spirit is your responsibility.
Love that.
And I've learned this, that, as being a leader, I have no babysitters.
Right.
I have nobody looking over my shoulder. Hey, are you working hard today? Hey, is your work getting done? Like, it's me out here. And the hardest thing to lead in the whole world, if you know anything about leadership, is you.
Yeah.
And my spirit, the infectiousness of it, the attitude of it is my responsibility. This last summer, Julie and I, we had a privilege of going on to one of our friends has a boat. And when I say boat, it's like a small island boat. It's one of those boats. In fact, Mr. Beast had just rented it. He did a thing.
I just watched this video.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he did from like $100 boat or
was-
something like that.
yeah.
He went. So like I think it was the last boat that he was on. One of our friends owns that boat. So, anyways, long story short, we're on this boat, and her husband and her built an incredible business clearly, and they did really well. And so we have this fantastic lunch, and out in New York with them, and Julia and I walked away from this lunch, moved, inspired. Our friend Lauren Rittinger was just so positive, so honoring, didn't say one negative word about any other person or any other situation. She's just lost the love of her life, and her work ethic, her care for her employees, her care for her family, the way she lives. I walked away, I was like, no wonder why it's not, just the boat is a small representation of the big life that they've built together. But I was so moved and inspired that she didn't let her circumstance crumple her spirit. Wow. She could be in bed, she could be in sweats, and I would get it. Man, you guys were, what's the saying? Thicker than thieves. You guys were, Bonnie and Clyde. You guys were doing it together, and you've lost your other half. And you could be critical and jaded, and I could just see a lady that's ruling her spirit. Wow! And we were inspired. I haven't been around a leader of that caliber in a long time. We were moved by it, but I've learned in leadership that it's me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's me gardening the soil of my heart, making sure there's no weeds in there, nothing funky, nothing weird, nothing sideways. I got to do the hard work on my inside to make sure that I can't just stand up and put it on. Yeah. If I got a world of funk going on inside of me. So I've learned my spirit is my responsibility. Number 16, never underestimate the power of sleep.
Amen.
Telling you right now, that's a word for somebody right now. Write it down. Point 16. Never underestimate the power of sleep. I'm just telling you, if you ain't rested, you ain't ready. Yep. In order for you to do anything, you require sleep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I don't know anybody that's above this. You have to sleep. You have to let that brain get healed and replenished and restored. So it's the easy illustration analogy here is your computer.
Right. Wow. Yeah. You've been using this one for years.
Yeah, come on. It's the easiest, right? Because it's so true. It just gets logged down and bogged down and it's not operating. Ain't nothing better when you finally give in because you're so frustrated. You finally hit that Apple button and you go down to restart and you let that thing restart and you wait the 5 minutes for it to do its thing. And then it comes up and it's like a whole new computer.
Yep. Yeah.
Sleep is the same thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a great leader, go to bed.
Yep.
And I learned this a long time ago. I learned this in about 2004. Why don't you sleep in on the front end?
Yep.
Love that.
So instead of like, we've all been there where you're like in your bed. Last night I was putting my son to sleep and he just got a new mattress and I was laying down. And the moment I laid down, I was like, buddy. I go, bud, are you loving this new mattress? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, Dad. And I've noticed this he used to bounce out of bed in the morning. Now this morning, my guy slept in about 40 minutes later than he usually does.
Wow.
And he's like, Dad, I can't get out of bed. And I was like, I'm laying there. I'm like, I get it. I can't stay here much longer because I'll fall asleep.
Yes.
I have learned that it is so important if you want more sleep to go to bed early.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because all of us have been there going like, I need an extra hour. I wish I could stay here an hour. We'll get on the front end.
That's right.
But never underestimate the power of good sleep. Number 17, rarely step foot in your neighbor's house. I have learned in 25 years of leading, don't keep going to the same well. Don't keep taking advantage of people's generosity.
Yeah. It's really good.
Rarely set foot in your neighbor's house lest they despise you. People love to have you over once. After that, oh, they're back.
Yep.
Third time, it's like sin. Do it once, I feel bad. Do it twice, I feel kind of bad. Do it a third time, I don't feel nothing.
Yep. Now you're taking advantage.
Right? Now you're taking advantage. And I've had to learn the hard way. People are keeping receipts.
Totally.
And so do not take advantage. I always think this about winners. Winners win, but guess what? Takers take.
Yeah.
And I do not like leaders with their hand out.
Yeah.
In fact, we don't have our hand out for nobody. We don't have our hand out for anything. We don't live a handout life. I want free this. I want free that. I want a hookup. I want this. Get a meal. Can I get some clothes? Can I get? Nope. You want to be a leader? You're a cut above.
That's right.
You want to be a leader? You're above reproach. So do not take advantage of people's generosity.
For sure.
Winners win, but takers take. And if you're going to be a leader, you're not a taker. You're a contributor. You're an adder. You're a helper. You're a servant. So everything is out. Nothing is in.
Yeah, important for context. You're not saying if you get invited to someone's house, that's different than inviting yourself in.
But I would even say, I have learned to turn down people's invitation.
Your no is stronger than your yes.
Because I know I've already done that trip.
Yep.
I've already been to that party. I've already done that thing, and I gotta monitor it. And I've got to learn from people. This is the thing I've learned in 25 years. Very few people give with no strings attached. Very few. It is a kingdom principle. It is a kingdom person. It is a rare, I will say this, mature leader that can give and genuinely gives.
Yeah.
Most people in your life give and they're keeping receipts.
Yep.
Most people give and there is a string. So if you do find people that are genuinely that generous, then I think that the rules change a bit.
Right. You still want to honor them.
Still want to
Respect.
honor. There's still,
Level of familiarity that
Yeah. But I'm just telling you, for the majority of people, we don't accept gifts. We don't accept handouts. I'm here to contribute.
Yeah.
Number 18, people keep receipts. Nothing is free. And obviously I was just kind of in that flow. The reason why is because people keep receipts. Nothing is free. 19, you can't teach what you don't know. And so the demand to learn is constantly on the leader's life.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
In the Bible is clear about us teachers. It says a teacher will be held to a higher standard.
Right.
So there's a requirement. The requirement of being a teacher is not just the accountability, but the requirement of teaching is you got to know a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't just wing it. So constant learning, constant reading. I sat in my house today and on my couch with no music, consuming, because I got to put a lot of good stuff in.
That's right.
And so there's the requirement of work hard, create, have organization,
That's right.
calendar, blah blah blah. But listen, you can't teach what you don't know.
Right.
So you got to know. And so let me ask you a question, leader. How do you learn? Some people learn by experience. Some people learn visually. Some people learn by listening. Some people learn by conversation. Whatever you got to do to find out how you learn best, crack that code.
Yeah.
Because it's about learning.
Right.
I cannot, it always reminds me of Tim the Tool Man Taylor
Love it.
and his next door neighbor,
Wilson.
Wilson.
And the fence is up. We never got to see Wilson's face, but Wilson would be brilliant and just break life down. And Tim would go back in the house and he's like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, he kind of knew it, but he doesn't know it.
Yeah.
To be a teacher, you got to be able to get stuff the way that so if it's reading, read.
Yep.
If it's podcast, whatever you got to do to learn. The point is learning.
That's right.
At the degree that you could teach it.
Totally. And we're in such an era where it's never been easier or more accessible to learn about anything that you want to learn about.
Anything.
So I love, we talk about YouTube University. You can go on
Yeah.
YouTube and set up a curriculum for yourself, set up
Yeah.
Playlist,
homework
yep.
assignments, a playlist, and just learn literally anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never watched The Simpsons in my life, but I heard about an episode one time, and Bart, he is
It's the
teaching.
dumbest thing you've ever seen. Just because your face was like, I wish the audio audience could understand the smirk that this guy had. Because some people for a moment were going to be like, wow,
He's never watched
the
it.
Gospel
No.
Ninja.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes here and there, but what is his name? Bart. He's teaching guitar lessons.
What is his name? Just stop and do the illustration.
He's teaching guitar lessons, and the scene before, he just learns one page ahead of a student, and eventually he gets caught. The student asks, 2 pages ahead, and the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's like in leadership, you can't just be a page ahead.
Yeah.
You've got to be committed to putting in the work, to getting, the experience, the knowledge. And if you're not there, there's people around you.
That's right.
Again, the YouTube thing. It's like if you want to learn from someone who is where you want to be, doing the things you want to do, or made the mistakes you don't want to make, like it's all
Yeah.
available, right? It's
Right.
all
All
your
there.
fingertips.
Yeah, I saw YouTube recently. It was like top 5 TED Talks that you need to watch that will change your life. It's all right there. It's like
Yeah.
a mentor always walks through the door when a student is ready to learn.
Really
It's
good.
not about the info. It's all about the student. So just continue to posture yourself that way. Number 20, study yourself approved, think yourself clear, pray yourself hot, preach yourself empty. 25 years, I've learned this every week of my life. It feels like to study myself approved and to think myself very clear, to therefore after that pray myself hot, so that I can preach myself empty. I'm talking to all the communicators right now. You cannot escape these 4 truths and these 4 foundational principles of your life if you're a communicator. Study yourself approved. Think yourself clear. Pray yourself so hot so you can get up and preach yourself empty. So in 25 years, I've learned I can't escape that.
Yep.
If I get up and that thing is hot and excited and I believe it and I'm passionate and I'm convincing and I'm swinging that sword, it's all because I did that.
Yep.
It's really, really great.
And if I don't put in that work, homie, which I can't, to be honest, remember a time I haven't.
Yeah.
Can't remember a time I got up and I can honestly say I didn't follow those 4 things. But I in 25 years, I've just learned you can't escape that.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work. And if you don't put in the work, it's going to work you.
Hello.
Wow.
You got to get up. People
That's
say,
good.
how do you not look at your notes? Because I do those things.
Yep. That's right.
Man, you preach with passion. How is it? I do those things. So it's a lot of thinking, a lot of studying. It's a
Yeah.
lot of praying. There's 3 things you got to get down before the 4th is good.
Right.
You can't escape it. 21, be the contrast. Be the contrast. In other words, we don't need more of a mimic, more of a copycat, more of you remind me of, you act like. All of that is good to a degree,
Right. You need it. Yeah.
to a degree. But the older I get, the more I really embrace me. It's part of the process, getting comfortable in your own skin. And I think what makes life and leadership beautiful is that you aren't like everybody.
Right.
You are the contrast. And I can remind people, I can see why you're best friends with so-and-so. I can see, you talk like them. And that's good. But I'm not them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am myself. And I love being me.
Yep.
I think people love to follow and learn from someone that's so clearly themselves. Craig Rochelle says at the end of every one of his podcasts, be yourself. Everybody
that.
loves somebody that's themselves.
Yeah.
And I can't be Craig, I can't be Bishop, and I can't be fill in the blank, but I can be me.
Yeah.
I am a really good version of me.
So
I
good.
am comfortable being me. I like me, to be honest. I'm not threatened or intimidated by others, and I'm not thinking that I'm better than others either. I'm me. And
Yeah.
and I think, to be a great leader is to understand, are you the ear, the eye, the hand, the foot?
Right.
I don't know what you are, but you're different. You're
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And so I don't need to fight whether the eye is more important than the hand or whatever role we're all playing. At the end of the day, if you want to be a great leader, just play your role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking to some of our team, and they were like, "I just really want to do an original. I want to make an original sound. I want to be different than everyone else." And I think you're putting such great words on how to do that. First of all, being original for original's sake, original doesn't mean good.
No.
You can
Yeah.
be originally bad.
Yeah.
Like it just because it's new doesn't mean it's good. But there's no one else like you. So the surefire way to be original, to be different, is literally just to be you.
be
Yeah.
No one.
authentic.
That's so good.
And I think figuring out what you bring to the table, what's the unique thing that you bring to the table, and not as like, like I always laugh at Thanksgiving. Julia and her four sisters, they're all chefs. And so when you eat, you never had more pressure than Thanksgiving at these guys' table. So everything you eat, you have to, oh, Faye. Oh my gosh, Faye. Okay, who made the stuffing? And then, one of them sitting down there and going,
The face is so good.
do you like it? And I'm like, do I like it? And it's like, wow, unbelievable. And so I don't want to be the contrast. So I'm like, look at the dish I am,
Yeah.
because then that's self-serving. I think it's where do you fit in the orchestra? Where do you fit in
Really good.
in the harmony? Where do you fit? I'm not trying to be like some unique sound. What's that sound? It's like, how do you fit in?
Yeah.
But be the contrast. Number 22, if I don't, who will? If I don't, who will? I've learned this in 25 years. If I don't reach out, who is reaching out? If I don't drive over the house, who is driving?
Right.
If I don't,
Right.
who will? It's the whole thought, no one else is coming.
Right.
But I love being a leader that's going, no one else is going.
Wow.
And this really helped me, in years of youth ministry of like, if I don't go to these games, who else is going to the games? If I don't go to the school lunch, who else is going to the school lunch? If I don't, do this Bible study with these young people, who else is doing the Bible study? I think the same thing applies today. If I don't, who will?
Yeah.
And I think people are hungry and longing for leadership.
That's right.
Who is going to call me out? Who is going to hold me accountable? Who is going to love me? Who else is going to correct me?
Yep.
I just think if I don't, okay, let's just look around. Who's going to do it?
Right.
Yep.
So I have to apply myself because of the opportunity that I uniquely am gifted or graced to do. So I just like living from that angle. Number 23, check on people. Check on people. Never underestimate the power of sleep. Never underestimate the power of checking in on people.
Yeah.
Just like, how you doing? What's going on? Let's get a coffee. Are you well? Are you good? Because I know how far it goes in my book.
Right.
Yeah.
I love this because it's kind of the other side of no one else is going to do it. It's like sometimes you can think, oh, they've got people. Someone's checking in on them.
They just don't.
Right.
To be honest, they don't. I was just in Thousand Oaks last week, and the great Julian Lowe was there, Oasis Church. I just love him so much. And one of the other guys, another pastor was at this conference, was saying, Julian's a real pastor. I said, what do you mean? They were traveling somewhere. I think they were in Africa or something. I can't remember where they went. They were on a trip somewhere. Anyways, maybe it wasn't Africa. Anyways, they're on a trip. He said, every morning I could hear him in the next room every morning, calling his team, checking in on his team, praying with his team,
Jeez.
making sure they're good every morning.
It's really great.
And I just, that stuck with me. I was inspired by that.
Yep.
Who am I checking in on?
Yeah.
Who am I really like investing into? I'm not called to invest into everybody, but there is a sphere of people that, clearly God has placed in your world, in your life for you to serve.
Yep.
Again, we're not takers. Leadership is about giving and being an influence and helping. And so I've learned in 25 years, don't minimize a text.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I think something that I struggle with is, if proximity, out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Like I almost have to like set a reminder on my phone to check in on someone. Our friend Shane, he said after every run, I stack a habit from Atomic Habits. He goes, after every run, that's my time to check in on people.
Wow.
that.
Do you have like a...
I'm on planes.
Mm.
I'm planes. I'm not really watching stuff. I'm just people.
Yep.
It's great.
People. And then Saturdays, a lot of Saturdays, people. I'm thinking about people. Sunday mornings, I'm thinking about people. I don't think you are consumed with people every day, but you have pockets and windows where your
That's
heart is
right.
really open to people. So
For sure.
find that time. 2 more, 23. Sorry, 24.
Yeah. I was
I
like,
go 2 more and I said 23. I'm like, wait a second. 24. The content you create becomes the content you... Sorry.
Content.
The content you consume becomes the content you create. We're messing all this up. The content you consume becomes the content you create. This is so important because it goes back to teaching. And I've learned in 25 years, I can tell what I'm talking about based upon what I'm putting in.
Yeah. Wow.
Whatever I put in front of my eye, that's why, on the podcast, I'm always referring to pop culture and news and entertainment because I watch a lot of it.
Yep.
I want to know what's going on in the world. I want to know what's going I read so much about the news because I always want to be informed enough to at least have an educated conversation about what's going on in politics or wars or whatever. Now, every morning I get an email from different news outlets that give me their top 5.
Yep.
Like I just want to be able to know.
Yep.
And the content I am putting in is the content I'm talking about. So, I'm reading right now, we just finished Job. We just finished Acts. We just finished, what was our reading this morning? I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. 1 Corinthians. I was like, we're not there. 1 Corinthians. And as I put that in, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm tweeting about. That's what I'm writing about. That's what I'm thinking about. And a lot of times I just get up and talk about what I read.
Yep.
And so I've learned in 25 years, the content that I consume becomes the content that I'm constantly creating. And last one, number 25, love what you're doing and who you're doing it with. Love what you're doing. Love it. Just love. The work is the gift.
Yeah.
It's never about the results. It's never about, these accolades or these awards or these trophies. It's about the work. The work is better than the result.
Really good.
And if you'll fall in love with what you're doing and then who you're doing it with.
Right.
Just enjoy the people that are around you. And I saw this great clip the other day from Steve Kerr. And he was talking about when he took over the Warriors, he flew up to go be with Pete Carroll. And
Wow.
he was following Pete Carroll from the Seahawks for a couple of days. And after a couple of days, Pete Carroll asked him, he said, so what kind of coach are you going to be? And Steve Kerr was like, well, I think we're going to run this kind of offense and blah, blah. And he's like, oh, no. That's not what we're talking about. He said, what do you want the players to feel when they walk in the building every day? What kind of culture will you create? What kind of culture are you going to set? What do you really want them to feel? And he said that question is what led him to creating the Warriors culture, which has gone on to win 3 or 4 championships.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's about loving what you do and loving who you're doing it with. And yeah, I hope that everybody's doing great. But I really want to be in love with it's like marriage, right? Because I have said yes to one, I say no to all others.
Right.
So good.
It's the same thing with my work. It's like, I hope every church is doing great, but I got to love my city and my community and our team and what we're doing and what we're building. And I always make fun of that guy, Swivelhead Steve. I just constantly make fun of him because it's like, his eyes are on everybody else's stuff. And I think that creates envy. I think it creates jealousy, it creates comparison. And I don't think the thing that you're building can stay beautiful if you're always looking at and comparing. If you're constantly comparing what they're doing versus what you're doing gets minimized real fast.
Yeah.
And so keep your eyes on what you're building and what you're doing. I've learned in 25 years, the only reason why I'm working with passion and I care and I'm trying to create to-do lists and projects and all that. I love what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love who I'm doing it with, who I get to come show up and how you doing today? And wow, you guys got Subway again. It's embarrassing for you guys. And you got Sushi
I
Stop.
agree.
That's kind of cool. but Chipotle, that's okay. You know,
How did you know our lunches? That's
yeah,
crazy.
Wow.
because I walk out and I see this. It's just this litany of embarrassing products, and then I walk in with my AG1. Yeah, it's so stupid, so stupid. But you know, it's like just like laugh, be grateful. Don't take yourself too seriously. It's got a lot of big moments. It's got a lot of small in the shadow moments.
Yeah, I think something too. When you say you gotta love what you do and the people you do it with, I think that's so much of a choice before it's a feeling. You gotta choose it, and then it will, and then you'll start to feel it.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're part of an organization or a team right now, and you're doing work that you don't think is glamorous or honorable, even, it's like you got to make the choice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this something I invest in and I love, and then
right.
you'll actually start to feel it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I would encourage you, if you don't yet have daily confessions, get some confessions. You know, what we say has 10 times the more power of what we think.
Wow.
So the real power of life and death is in the tongue. That's why I believe in daily confessions. Confess some things, because as I say it, I feel it.
Yep. Yes.
And I get that gratitude. I get that excitement. I get that passion. So I hope that, however long you've been leading, love it, enjoy it, embrace it. The grass is not greener on the other side, man. It's
Right.
not. Water it. It'll get green.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing better than you think you're doing. There's more people that are for you than against you. You're a leader, not a follower. Keep going. Let's go.